Hello, everyone. I am Claudio Murgan, the host of the Spiritual Inspire podcast. And my guest today is Tom T. Moore. Tom is an award-winning author, speaker, and is in the entertainment business, where for over 40 years he has been president and CEO of his own international motion picture and TV program distribution business based in Texas. During this time, he has traveled extensively as part of his business duties to international film markets held in Cannes, Milan, Los Angeles, and Budapest. Mr. Moore graduated with a BA in Business Administration from Texas Christian University and served in the US Army as a first lieutenant. Tom is the author of 6 books. The Gentle Way books provide a simple yet powerful tool for everyday use that is a giant step forward from the law of attraction and include hundreds of stories sent to Mr. Moore from all over the world, from people living the gentle way. More about the books and Tom's initiatives you can find at thegentlewaybook.com. Tom, thank you very much for joining me today and welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me again. How's everything in Toronto?
Everything is good so far. The weather is holding up. The garden is blooming, which is an improvement. So that's very good.
There we go.
So since we last talked, you were very kind to send me four of your books. First Contact, the one about Lemuria and Atlantis, and the Gentle Way book number 2. So I had plus the one about the pets. So I had the chance to read all of them, and we'll continue our discussion. And I want to give you a report on my own most benevolent outcome requests, because usually I ask for a MBO at the beginning of each day. And if the day goes smoothly, then you say, yeah, we could have happened without the request anyway. But there are 2 instances where I asked for the MBOs, and they came forward like within minutes. And the first example is 2 weeks ago, long weekend in Canada, traveling with friends in a small town, touristic town at the edge of the bay. It's very busy, crowded. You cannot find a parking spot. So we drove around, and of course, no spot available to park in the area where we wanted to go. And 3 ways through the circle between the 2 streets, I asked for a MBO to find a parking spot. And when I was closing the circle to go back on the first street, a spot was empty, and there were cars coming from all directions, and it was like that spot was invisible to everyone. I was able to pull in, no problems. So that was the first one. And a few days later, back home, I wanted to go and buy salt for the water softener. So I stopped by at a friend to drop something for him. He asked me, where are you going? I said, I'm going to buy salt for water softener. I said, good luck with that. There is a problem. There is a strike with these workers that provide the salt. And it took us like 3 weeks ago to find salt in a different town. So good luck. So I went to the first store, the closest one. They told me we sold 150 bags in 1 day 2 weeks ago. We don't know when we're going to get more. I drove to the next store. Yeah, we carried the salt, but we don't have any because of the same shortage. I went to the third one. They didn't carry. I went to the fourth one on the same street. I didn't make any other effort, same street. And the fourth one said the same story. We used to carry it, but because of the shortages and the strike, we don't have any. But the manager was there, the cashier, and she said, go 100 meters up the street. There is a water depot store. And I know the owner, and I think she has some bags. Try there. I drove to that store, and there are 11 bags of salt waiting for me. I bought only 4. I needed only 4. I drove away. I told my friend, you know what? If you need more salt, this is where you can find it. So I set the MBO the moment I stepped out of the first store. So it took maybe 20 minutes for that salt to or the request to
Here.
materialize in the appear, yes, in front of me. So it was quite unbelievable.
Wow. Yeah, that's and back to the parking. I have seen times, even just recently, where I've requested a benevolent outcome for a parking space, and there was someone trolling down the same aisle or row as I was, and they went right past it, and I pulled in. So
yeah, I mean, I encourage people to ask for these MBOs. In fact, I'm pushing it on my kids, and even if they don't believe me, they sometimes grudgingly do it, and you know. But I want to instill in them this regimen of something so good, and yeah, it is just positive. You have to do it in order
and it
to
works.
see it.
It works great, great for children who are studying for exams and things like that. I've received emails from people saying that their son or daughter scored higher than even the best students in the class after requesting an MBO. So it does help them. It settles them down. It relaxes them, and they're able to think of the answers easier.
Yeah. Just to continue our conversation from last time, you recently mentioned to me about a new concept, octopus soul. How did you come across octopus soul and what exactly it is?
So anyway, I I happened to see a video of an octopus in a tank thrashing around, and even spurting out ink. And someone even in the video said that octopus looks like it's dreaming. And so I thought, well, that's an interesting question to ask. So little did I know that when I asked to speak to octopus soul in my meditative session, that the octopus soul would say, hey, humans don't even understand about their dreams, but I can tell you that every single being in the universe dreams. And I thought that was a very profound subject that I've kind of carried along. When you think about even the birds, the insects, bees, the trees, the plants, every single being in the universe dreams. And that's why I've been recording my dreams since 1979. And 2 weeks after I started recording dreams, I had this very, very vivid dream of a woman and some men being involved in a big explosion. And so my wife and I, at that time, we owned an international wholesale tour company, and we were supposed to be going to Manila for a World Congress of Travel Agents. And so we canceled Manila and added days to Hong Kong and Taipei. And sure enough, on the very first day of the Congress, terrorists exploded the bomb up at the front of the hall, which is where I like to sit. I always like to sit close to the front, and injured 10 travel agents. And they arrested a woman that worked for the Manila tourism government or something like that in Los Angeles, and 4 men. And after that, I said, I'm going to record my dreams the rest of my life. And so I have gone through many notebooks. I actually have them printed up, especially where it says, date, place, that, and lines for me to write the dreams. And I recommend to people having a pen light and the notebook, next to your bedside, so that you can record them in the middle of the night. If you have a partner, of course, you can go to the bathroom and and record the dreams, and so you won't forget them.
Yes, I mean, we touched on this on our first interview as well, and it's not easy for everyone, because even if the dream is profound, when we wake up, if it's not a lucid dream, when we wake up, it's just fragments we can remember from the dream. And sometimes, even if you see the action in your mind, you cannot find words for what exactly happened. It's like you are being forbidden to write down the experience from a different realm. It's quite interesting.
Yes, I struggle. As long as I've been doing it, I still struggle with some of the images, because you're combining past lives, future lives, present lives. You're combining. Each of our lives has 12 parallel lives, and so you're looking in on these other parallel lives. Some are better, some are worse, depending, because we're on timeline 6, the middle frequency, and so the timelines below us have harder lives, and the timelines above us have easier lives. So.
Yeah. Last time we touched on Lemuria and Atlantis, but I would like to go a little bit deeper. Do you think that they will resurface? Not necessarily in our lifetime, but in the thousands of years after we are gone. Do you think these two continents will resurface and life will restart on these lands?
The Earth experiment, I'm told, is going to end, excuse me, in 7,000 years. And so after we leave, the Earth will return to its pristine condition, and it will be a tourist destination for all the other beings in our universe, and even other universes. So that's going to be great. I mean, we're considered the crown jewel of Creator's creation. So, and Creator loves variety, and that's what we have on this planet, is a huge amount of variety.
Yeah. So in other words, you are not sure if this particular, let's say, continents will resurface. But are you aware of the Eye of Atlantis?
Oh, you mean as far as Atlantis and Lemuria?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't. Well, I won't say no. I'd be surprised if they do, but Gaia has her own plans for the Earth. She's a quantum master, and I asked, well, how many quantum masters are there in this universe? And she said, oh, you can count them on one hand. And so I asked, well, are they planets? And she said, well, they're a variety, planets and suns or whatever. So there aren't too many quantum masters in our universe, and we're lucky to have this beautiful soul, that takes care of Earth and all the 12 Earths all at the same time, which is, when you think about it, amazing, and all the souls involved in the Earth experiment.
Yes. Tom, are you aware of the Eye of the Sahara, which is on the west side of the African continent, and it mimics the main city of Atlantis? What have you asked about this in the past?
I have, and I'm sorry. That was several years ago, and I cannot remember what all I received. Keep in mind, everyone, you can go to www.thegentlewaybook.com and click on articles and news. And I have archived all of my free newsletters there, all the way from 2007 all the way to the present time. And there's a search box up in the right-hand corner, and you can enter the Sahara thing and see what I've received on it so far. Because I think I asked 2 or 3 different times about it. Okay. I just ask. I've asked over 30,000 questions in these meditative sessions, and I just can't remember unless somebody prompts me in advance or something.
Yeah. Okay. We'll do the search because it's quite an interesting phenomenon there, and there are tons of hypotheses about the place. Yeah.
Yeah. I will mention that on the coast of Spain, there has been another place in the sort of marshlands that they've discovered, and it looks like they've hypothesized. I'm saying that word wrong. That it might have been the main city of Atlantis, or the main city, and I was told that it's like, well, as an example, in Arkansas, they've made a duplicate of the National Congress building, but smaller, and that's sort of what they did when they made that city off, and at that time the waters were much lower, and so they made sort of a copycat, but just on a smaller size than what's called the Golden City, and Aaron, well, anyway,
Yeah.
Poseidon. There we go. Trying to remember the name. Poseidon and Aaron and 5 little small islands below Aaron were all that was mostly left. There were some other islands scattered about the Atlantic Ocean that were left when Atlantis had a huge disaster with all the volcanoes blowing up, and most of the continent sank, and the waters rose 162 feet, I think it was. So that was the first out of 3 major rises in the waters of the world.
Yes, I mean, what you said does make sense that people could create or build replicas of cities they admire. It's like you mentioned about the building of the Congress. So yeah, that's a possibility. And with regarding the volcanoes, I mean, there are studies showing that there are underwater volcanoes in Antarctica, I think, and they are blowing up right now. This is what heats up the water and makes the ice melt. And this creates the whole phenomena, which a lot of people think it's climate change based on what we do. And again, I repeated many times, I know we pollute, I know we destroy ecosystems, I know we do a lot of harm to the environment, that's for sure. I cannot be contested. But the scale, the earth is changing right now, is not due to us, but different other phenomena which we cannot impact in any way or change. I mean, we know that is man-made weather in various parts of the world, but also with the sun and geomagnetic field and all these atmospheric changes, there is nothing we can do at this point.
Right. And the continent of Atlantis was on top of the mid-Atlantic ridge, and so there were a line of volcanoes right on top of that pressure zone, and they all decided to blow up at the same time, which broke apart the continent, which is why it's no longer there. And people, of course, continue to speculate to this day, did Atlantis really exist? Yes, it did. Had several million people living on the continent when the disaster happened, because the continent was inhabited by Homo sapiens starting 60,000 years ago.
Yes.
Same with Lemuria, or Mu, as it's called.
Yeah, and for those who want to read the whole story, and in fact questions Tom asked about these 2 continents, you can find them in his book Lemuria and Atlantis, if you visit his website, thegentlewaybook.com.
There we go.
Yes. Exactly. So very interesting read. Tom, since we last talked, a lot of events happened all over the world, from political and um, natural and all kinds of earth-shaking, let's use a pan, earth-shaking events. And the recent ones are, in Canada with the fires, and some people say that this normal is that time of the year. But in Quebec, there are 53 fires starting at the same time. We saw the radar, and that's quite unusual to not to be a man-made um, activity. So,
Right.
have you asked questions about these fires, about the what's going on in Canada and US at this point from this
Yes,
perspective?
of course, I think the total at one point, I don't know, what the current total is. There was 560 fires in Canada, all going on at the same time. And I'm told that this is going to continue for the next couple of years. That that obviously when the rains and the snows come, um, that will stop it, but they're going to spring up again. And why it's just for 2 years, I don't know. Maybe all the forests will have burned by then, and they'll all be in new growth. But Gaia has these fires to generate new growth, and it's part of the cycles of life.
Yes. At the same time, again, there are rumors saying that these fires are being started intentionally just to um, put more fear into us and highlight the agenda of climate change. Because without these type of fires in a awkward time of the year, people will still be relaxed and they won't believe it. But when the push is done, then and they will feel the smoke in the air, they will take a different type of initiative. So we'll
Yeah,
see how the masses will react and what's going to happen. But hopefully, will turn into a positive vibe.
yep. You'll come out. Just take a couple more years. So um, we'll see what happens.
So also, can we consider what's going on right now as Gaia's journey through the universe, as her own story, writing her own story, her own journey, and we are just, coming along in this amazing adventure.
Okay. Again, we're all part of the Earth experiment. Uh, Gaia, um, when she came to this universe, the universe was just starting out. Um, it sort of confirms in a way uh, the idea of the Big Bang theory, except it was like a small bang. Um, uh, Creator started out with only several hundred um, uh, galaxies, and so I would call it a small bang, but it did start it, and all these galaxies were all very compressed together, and Gaia came along from another universe. There are trillions of creators and trillions of universes, and Creator, she said that Creator saw that she was interested in becoming a quantum master, and so Creator told her, "Well, you need to go through all of these galaxies I have so far, and understand why the souls that were attracted to ensoul the suns, to ensoul the planets around the suns, and so on, why they chose that particular galaxy. Because another thing that Creator has told me is that every single galaxy, and there are trillions of galaxies now in our universe, every single one is different from all the others. Now, that's amazing. How can that be? But that's what I'm told. All these galaxies are different. So it took her millions of years to go through these different galaxies. She was ensouling an asteroid that was about 2 miles wide, but she had control, so she could direct it one left or right or up or down or whatever. And she went through all these galaxies through millions of years, getting to understand about all the souls that inhabit these different galaxies. And I assume the galaxies themselves, along with probably, the people, that like to ask constant questions. She probably was in Creator's ear most of the time of this whole process, asking questions. So, and I will mention that anyone can communicate with Creator. Creator has told me that Creator can have trillions of conversations all going on at the same time. That's why I like to call this being Creator as compared to God, because in a way, due to all of our previous religious trainings, I would call it, we think there are, in a way, limits to God, but this Creator, there's no limits, and Creator has said, you can communicate with me. Just ask to talk to me. You can even ask me the most trivial questions. I don't mind. I welcome people communicating with me and asking questions.
Yes, in a way, religion is a box. It's boxing us. It's putting us in a box, and
yes,
forces us not to think anything else but at the edge of the box. And I think from there, our mind cannot comprehend what you just said, that there are trillions of galaxies and planets and everything else, because we are stuck here due to gravitation. And then we have asked the question, what exactly keeps all the other trillions of galaxies in balance? What immense, unimaginable force keeps everything together? And it's just unbelievable. And even if you think of our bodies, which is the microcosm, then you realize how complex everything is outside our planet.
Right.
Because to balance all the functionalities in our body, to know when to digest the food, when to have the white cells doing their job, when you have the synapses doing their job, and it's such a finite and minute detail in everything our body is working, that it's beyond our comprehension.
Right. And when I talk to these souls that inhabit like octopus soul or crow soul or dog soul or cat soul or whatever, they go into detail, and just as and some of these I have in the book here, The Gentle Way with Pets. They go into detail about how Creator came to them, and they were the highest level in vibrational level soul on their planet, and they were asked to take part in the Earth experiment, and they were thrilled to take part, and they were able. The Creator gave them, of course, this is all taking part in milliseconds. What Creator had an idea for what their work or their position would be in this experiment, and they were able to communicate back to Creator and suggest things. And so it was not all one-way street. There was communication back and forth, just a lot faster than we can do it. So it really gives you a sense of the magnificence of this creation when you start thinking about it. And by the way, this universe, scientists only so far think it's like 15.2 billion years old, I think, or something like that. And in actuality, it's 25 billion years old. But the nice thing, at least we'll get closer with this James Webb telescope. It's going to reach even farther and farther out. I just saw in the last couple of months, someone published a little tiny light that was another galaxy, and they were just amazed how far out that must be. So they're going to eventually conclude that the universe is 20 billion years old, but still it's 25. So that's a long time. And again, because our universe is part of trillions, there are 3 other universes that are next to ours, 2 of which we can't see because they're on the far side of the universe, but one we can see in the night sky, and eventually the James Webb telescope will see that there's this void several million miles wide, and this void is between our universe and the other universe next over.
And based on your knowledge, have those from the other universe, did they travel to ours so far, or they don't know about us?
Some, and even we've traveled, and I say we, there's been travel to like the closest universe that we can see. And I was told that that universe is so different from ours that they're all different. But I was told, Tom, if you look at those galaxies, they're completely different than our galaxies. And what they found when they visited, I guess, one or more planets there, that there's just this enormous difference between creations.
So maybe we are lucky enough to reincarnate on one of those planets in a different galaxy. Not that we are going to remember anything from the Earth in order to make a comparison, but at least will be a different experience.
Yeah.
And Tom, you mentioned your connection with the Creator and the fact that each of us can do that. So that's why I have these interviews, because I want to encourage people to go inside and find that connection with the Creator themselves, and tap into the beauty of what's in the darkness. When I say darkness, when the darkness of when we close our eyes, the darkness of our mind, where the beauty comes, where the colors comes, where the messages are being sent to us, is the positive darkness inside us, not the other one. Right. So it's beautiful that you mentioned that you have this particular connection, and there are so many like you who are doing this job beautifully.
Well, I'm told that part of my soul contract is to encourage people to meditate. In the future, I'm told everybody will meditate, with maybe tiny portion not, but everybody's going to meditate. And it's not that hard. You just put yourself into a light alternate state, and then you just say, I'd like to speak to Gaia, or I'd like to speak to Creator, or I'd like to speak to my guardian angel. Guardian angels are nice to start with, because these are golden light beings that are in charge of us. They take care of hundreds of thousands of people all at the same time, because they're these ancient souls that Creator asked to take care of us. And your guardian angel is your best friend. So your guardian angel is with you in every single one of your lives on Earth, which are all going on at the same time, which is a little hard for people to initially comprehend, shall we say.
Yes, needs practice. And as my previous guest said, diligence. I had Philip Montrose the other day. The interview will be posted on Sunday. And he drew a card from a deck. And it was the second time, on the same day, he drew out the same card, diligence. So we need diligence in what we do, especially on the spiritual path, in order to see results. So don't give up.
That's right. Don't give up. And I was as surprised as everyone. The first time I was able to communicate in 2005, and I wasn't a young guy then. So, I went to a Dick Suppin seminar in Sedona, and I decided to try and contact a Indian shaman that had been channeled for me by Robert Shapiro a couple of years before, and so when Dick put us under to try and automatic write, instead I said, "Reveals the mysteries. Are you there?" And he said, "Yes, I am, Tom." And I said, "Oh, wow, this is great." And that's how it started. I communicated with him. It turned out that Reveals the Mysteries is one of my soul group, or cluster as they're called. There are 8 fragments of our soul having lives on earth, and Reveals the Mysteries was an Indian shaman in the 1600s, and he's also my main guide, because each of us have a main guide along with our guardian angel, and what we call the guardian angels are golden light beings, and then other guides that come and go, like when my wife and I owned that international tour company, I had a couple of guides that helped with that, and when I started our international film distribution business, I added a couple of guides there. When I started writing articles and books, I added on a couple of writer guides.
Yeah, interesting. And because you mentioned Sedona, I had a couple of guests recently which are living in Sedona, and one is Toltec shaman. Have you had any other amazing experiences there when visiting visit the vortexes, or anything special you can mention?
Oh, I could go on. the I think it was about the first time that we went there with a group of friends. There was 3 couples, and so us 3 guys, or we 3 guys, climbed up to the top of Bell Rock, and Bell Rock is a very famous place. You can Google it and see what it looks like. We climbed all the way up to the top of Bell Rock, and then we decided to do a meditation. And during the meditation, I fell into the rock. It was the strangest feeling I've ever had. And when I came out of it, when we descended, I could not wear my prescription driving glasses. I had to drive without glasses. And ever since then, up until maybe very recent times, I did not need glasses to watch go to a theater with. So I mean, that was one. I've one night on that very same trip, my wife woke up and there were lights hanging over my body, and so I've asked about that since, and I was told I was being prepared for this work, whatever that means. And then I also saw my first UFO. We ate dinner at the very famous Enchantment Resort. You don't have to stay there in order to have dinner. And so we were out on the patio watching the sun go down. And so after dinner, everybody got up but me. I was the stay there to guard the table so that they wouldn't take everything away. And while everybody went to the restroom or take photos, and lo and behold, there came a UFO right out of Boynton Canyon, and it looked like it was headed directly for the airport, which is up on a mesa in Sedona.
Mm-hmm.
And but it wasn't blinking lights like a normal plane. I had a private pilot's license at one time, so I knew what that was supposed to look like. And it was just a solid light going across, and then suddenly it just disappeared. So,
yeah, unfortunately, I suppose, I mean, I wanted to be in Sedona in June, last month, but unfortunately it didn't pan out. So I know the events and everything will be arranged in such a way that I'll be there at the right time. I don't worry.
before you go, be sure to contact me. I'll give you some good places to go.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you. Tom, in order for us to move forward as people, as humans, we need three things: water, food, and electricity. Right now, I think we cannot go back to the ways we used to live without electricity. We'll go mad in a matter of days, without, flushing a toilet, getting water from the faucet, turning on the lights in the house. We'll get mad. Kids won't be able to play on their computers. And last time we touched on lightly on some of the technologies that might come to fruition. Do you have any updates on these three elements? Because food right now is becoming scarce, even if people don't want to acknowledge the food supply chain is being destroyed. Dealt of pesticides spread all over countries like Canada, US. There are accidents. And food is being water is being polluted. What do you think?
Well, I keep being told that there's going to be a free energy machine released this year. Now, there have been what I'm told are backup machines just in case this free energy machine is not released for whatever reason. I know in the last month or 6 weeks, I received a call again from someone on the East Coast, I'll say. I won't narrow it down, who lives in the woods, but very off
the grid, off grid, yeah.
Off the grid. And he has designed a free energy machine. And he has finally decided that he would probably release it to the world with no patent. I'm told in one of my sessions that there are a couple of things wrong with it that need to be corrected. But that's one of those backup machines. And in my newsletters, as people have come up with other free energy machines, but they want to go the path of, oh, I'm going to make $1 billion off of this, and that's not the way to go, because the free energy machines that have come along in the past, say 50 or 60 years, they've been bought up by oil companies and just hidden, so that they can continue to make billions of dollars in oil profits. That's going to come to an end. I do know Dr. Stephen Greer has advertised continually for people that would come up and not expect, they're willing to give them some money, but not expect to have a funnel for a cash inflow. And by releasing their free energy machine without a patent. And that's going to happen. Somebody's going to do it. I hope it's this year. I hope it hasn't been delayed because somebody is trying to keep someone from releasing that free energy machine. Of course, I'm told when that happens, obviously within a couple of years, everybody will be able to build one. Supposedly it'll be fairly simple. And, everybody is going to start having energy, whether they're a little old village in Africa or wherever, everyone's going to have energy. There's also been another major breakthrough that I had in my newsletter. You can look up HUC enzyme, and supposedly this enzyme can take air and turn it into electricity. And I'm told by Gaia that that's a major development of this century, and it's going to be big, big, big. So there are things coming along that they can't stop. There's just too many of these free energy type devices that are going to be around.
Yeah, thank you for the update. Yes, and now with the financial system crashing down and all the other systems being down to their knees, we need something positive. We need this type of energy devices and alternative ways of producing food, because right now you really don't know what you eat if you buy something from the store. Fake meat, bugs, all kind of crappy stuff, which pretty much is poison for our bodies. So we need to be very careful.
Absolutely. There. So, and hopefully all these devices they're coming up with, it's going to be a landslide. We'll see. Something else, I just will mention to your viewers, supposedly by the end of this month, and this is not something that I've really asked about, although I've asked, and there's going to be a lot of these secrets are going to be coming out. But there are two congressmen in the United States, one by the name of Burchett and the other one by the name of Gallagher, and they're going to start holding congressional hearings at the end of this month, which is pretty fast, where they're going to start interviewing whistleblowers about these crash retrievals of extraterrestrial craft and how they're trying to back engineer them. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that came out of it is that, and I've read this 2 or 3 places, including Dr. Greer's website and a couple of others, they keep talking about this guy that went in one of these crashed ET craft, and I'll talk about how it was taken down. And when he went inside, this ET craft was only 30 feet wide, and but when he went inside, he said it was as big as a football field, and he got very disoriented and even nauseous and had to come out. Well, I'm told by Antura, my ET buddy, that these craft that are 30 feet wide are actually only 150 feet wide inside, because you're going from the 4 negative energies on the outside to the 10 positive energies on the inside, and it expands it inside to like 150 feet, but not 300 feet. Okay. And the other thing, well, I said, okay, your mothership is, you've told me in the past, is 3 miles wide, 20 stories tall with 11 decks. So is your mothership the same inside with the 10 positive energies? And he said, oh, Tom, it's roomy. That was the first thing. It's roomy. And then he said, then I came back the next time and asked again. He said, I knew you were going to come back and ask that. And he said, I said, well, is it like 9 to 12 miles inside? And he said, yes, at least that. I'm saying, oh, at least that. And so the next time I said, okay, is it larger than that? He said, Tom, we don't want to go any farther than that, because if I do, he said, you're okay with accepting the idea that it's larger than that inside, but there will be some of your readers that will be frightened, and we don't want them to be frightened. So using, and this is me figuring out, not him telling me, using that analogy of the 30 feet being 150 feet, it would seemingly be the 3 miles would be 15 miles wide inside. So he says, it's a small city, and you can understand they want to have a lot of space when there are 1,500 people on board that mothership from 37 different planets, and they live their whole lives on board that spaceship. So I'm sure they need a lot of room.
So in fact, they've already implemented the 15-year light cities. We are trying to implement 15 minutes cities. They implemented 15-year light cities because they travel back and forth. And you said they spend most of their lives there. So,
oh yeah, and I ask, well, for the Earth experiment, since they are doing all these scientific readings 24 hours a day of these 4 negative energies, I said, how many of your crew members are involved on the deck where they have to have the scout ships go out, the drones go out, and there's different kinds of drones. There's the tic-tac kind of drones. There are the little ball drones, and they're all taking millions of readings. That's their scientific job, is to take millions of readings a day. And he said there's 100 crew members that are on that deck working. Obviously, there's 100 crew members assigned to that duty. Maybe there's only 50 on and 50 off or something like that, but they're there working every single day.
Yeah, I mean, you have my address. Give it to them. They can visit. I can show them my garden, take them around.
Yeah, exactly. Love to. And but there are all these corporations that are trying to say, oh, we don't know what they are. They're a danger to us. And they've been around since the start of our planet, at the start of the Earth experiment. So they've been here for millions of years, taking all these scientific readings and videoing. They've got videos of the Neanderthals and the Cro-Magnons and the dinosaurs and all that stuff. So they've really documented much more than we can understand, because they have scientific things they can do that we have not discovered yet. And so they've been around all this time, and so we're, they're not a danger to us. They're just doing their job, what Creator wanted them to do, to understand these 4 negative energies, which the rest of our universe, which is 10 positive energies, and all the trillions of other universes, they're all 10 positive energies too. So we're part of the Earth experiment. Yeah. We're the explorers.
Again, our lovely government's trying to keep us in fear. That's the only thing, normal thing, daily.
Because the corporations want to make billions and trillions of dollars.
Yeah.
I mean, even look at something like the Ukrainian war. I mean, they're just making money hand over fist in producing weapons. So, that's part of what they do.
Yeah. Tom, you live in Texas, so you are exposed to the migration that's happening at the US, at the southern border. And
Mhm.
recently, Sound of Freedom was released, the movie that exposes the child sex trafficking networks.
Yeah,
Um,
my daughter and son-in-law have seen that. I haven't had a chance to.
it's very powerful. It has been tried to be. They tried to suppress the movie. Now the MSN is the media, the mainstream media is all over to throw mud at the movie, saying that something like this doesn't exist. Have you ever asked the question about if this type of uh, human trafficking will end anytime soon?
Well, not that it'll end anytime soon, but that there will be more and more of these pedophilia uh, rings that will be exposed, even in places like Washington, D.C. I understand there's at least two or three there, and I'm sure there's many across um, across the United States and probably Toronto and so on. So uh, that's yeah, I know it will end. It's just that probably films like the documentary you just mentioned um, will aid in slowly but surely getting rid of it.
Yeah, in the US Congress, there are numbers mention about like 85,000 children missing, crossing the border and then missing. No ID, nothing. They're just taken away. And if you ask the Homeland Security or the Department of Justice, those guys, they are clueless. I mean, maybe they know what happened, but they don't want to share anything. And that's
Right.
very distressing.
Very.
Tom,
So
are you still in
we can
contact?
always request, say, a benevolent prayer out loud for all the children to be reunited with their families and released from captivity.
Yes, that's for sure. Are you still in contact with Antura, and have you received any updates regarding your trip?
Well, yes, on a weekly basis, and and I'm told it's they keep saying soon, 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 and uh, and I didn't put it in my newsletter. I had some choice words for Antura. Last time I talked to him, you know, hey, basically I'm saying let's get it on. And he keeps saying, it's got to be convenient for you because uh, the the camera equipment and all the equipment that you need to come up here because it's going to be a 4-camera shoot. Um, all these cameras have to be available for you to rent, and so is that because now we got the SAG AFTRA uh, uh, thing going on, and so that's going to stop all um, basically all uh, filming. Maybe that's what they needed to happen. I don't know, and he said it has to be convenient for us too. Well, gosh, make it convenient for you. Let's get this thing on. I'm ready.
Yeah. Feast on the table now.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's more or less what I said.
Tom, we are approaching the end of the interview, and like every time, I give my guest the option to have some closing thoughts.
Oh, closing thoughts. Well, one, I'd love to see more people do a couple of things. Number one, go to my website, www.thegentlewaybook.com. Sign up for my free newsletter. It's free. It's my gift to the world. And uh, so, love to have more people sign up for that. And I've I've got this petition going on right now called Guns for Groceries. And you can go tinyurl.com/guns groceries what did I forget? Guns for groceries. Okay. And basically it's to lower the number of guns that are out there. And it's something that would have bilateral support. It just needs more people involved in getting it done. It's another tiny step, but it is at least a step as compared to all this talk. Oh yeah, we need to do this, we need to do that, but nothing gets done because it requires somebody to do something. And my petition doesn't require anybody to do anything. It's all volunteer.
Thank you very much, Tom. Thank you for all your initiatives, for your work, and for the time you spend with me and other hosts like myself to share your wisdom and the news. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
And to my guests and viewers, thank you for watching. Share it, like it. Download a free copy of my book when you visit my website. And until next time, love and gratitude.